Okay, so we're going to do quick review of the Torrey Pines public golf course. There are two courses at Torrey Pines, the north and the south course. The south course is the public course, and the north course is also public, but it is not the U.S. Open course. So the first time I played it, I played on the day before Thanksgiving, and I played the south course because it was the U.S. Open course. And then I came back and played the North course the following week after Thanksgiving. And part of the reason is, number one, I wanted to complete the effort of playing both courses. And the other reason is because I didn't really have a good time playing the South course. I didn't really like it that much. It has a number of issues, which I'll get to in a minute. Let me just set the scene. So Torrey Pines is a small business park community that's just north of La Jolla in Southern California, which is just north of San Diego proper. And actually, La Jolla is on the beach, and San Diego is more towards the inland. But I guess you could say La Jolla is a suburb of Santa Barbara. It's a really nice part of Southern California. Definitely worth visiting in and of itself. So what I would say is that you have the two courses, north and south. They're both along the shoreline. They sit on a cliff area overlooking the ocean. You can't really see the beach from the course. It's hidden by the fact that it is on a cliff and well above the beach. There are some views of La Jolla from a few of the holes, but generally speaking, you can't really see anything but like the course and then this big expanse of ocean off to the west. So it's not like they're really great views. It's not like there are other courses where you can see the mountains. There really aren't any mountains in view from the course. So in the sense of landscaping, there really isn't much to see other than the course and the surrounding buildings. So this is where the problem comes in on the south course, is that number one, it's mostly flat. Almost no landscaping of interest whatsoever. The second thing is it's largely built up. There's a big, and here on the course, it's not like a hotel-ish kind of hotel. It's more like a chalet kind of hotel, but there's a large hotel that runs south on the east side of the course, runs south down the road that goes past the course and goes down to UC San Diego, which is North Torrey Pines Boulevard, and it runs north and south along the east side of the course, and the hotel runs along the east side of the south course, but it does not run north past the clubhouse along the east side of the north course. So that is a big difference right there, because on the north course, because there is no construction, no housing, no buildings or anything along the east side of the course, you end up with a lot of road noise along the north course and the east side, whereas on the south course you have almost no road noise, but there are buildings all along the east side of the south course. So it's really kind of less than appealing in a sense on the south course. The second thing is that south course, for the overwhelming part of it, is flat, and even when it's not flat, it's not that vertical. There really is not a whole lot of verticality at all to the course, and it really is kind of just a course in sort of a backwards E shape that sits along the coast, but you hardly see the coast, you hardly see anything but the water, just out there. And in general, you see the north course. When you're on the north side of the south course, you see a bunch of buildings. When you're on the east side, you see the parking lot for the beach. There's a giant beach parking lot there when you're on the south side, and when you're on the west side, you see just water and sky. That's it. No mountains, nothing really interesting at all in terms of the landscape. And there's only a couple, I would say probably 4 holes that are really interesting on the south course. And even then, they're not that interesting. So to me, that course was largely a mundane and expensive waste of time to play it. It just wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that challenging at all. Big, open fairways, virtually no tree cover in the course, big greens, and not even that long, really, considering the back tees were moved up. So it wasn't even. It really played more like a 6,800 yard course. It was nice to play with a 3-wood, and I would definitely say on both these courses you want to bring out a 3-wood with you, but it wasn't really that hard, or that, it really wasn't that hard. It really wasn't that challenging, and even though it was rated 144, slope 144 from the back tees, that's at the full distance. That's at 7,700 yards, and this was not playing 7,700 yards, playing more like 6,700 yards, maybe 68, 100 yards. So now, considering that the course it's $40 some odd to play Twilight during the week, and then you have to pay a $40 penalty if you're not a San Diego resident, and then a $25 penalty if you want a cart, and then on top of that, the carts are cart path only on this course. And certainly you could tell the fairways were very nice condition, but definitely cart path only for the entire course, for both courses. It's a lot of money to play golf, and it's not much golf that you get out of it in return. The only, the major thing I would say is the grass was in really nice condition. The rough was good, thick but not too thick. Fairways were good on the long side, but not too short, not too long. And the greens were huge greens, huge sand traps around the greens, nice big sand traps. Definitely a challenge to play your short game because it was full of rough around the greens. Big areas of rough around the greens, lots of space, but you didn't want to go out in it. You didn't want to be chipping out of the rough onto the green because the rough was so thick. So definitely a challenge on your short game, definitely a challenge in your long game, but I would say it was more like a technical challenge than an actual fun round of golf. And so I was just kind of let down by the whole experience. On top of that, it rained, and I will say this, it rained from about 1 o'clock, so an hour into my round, until maybe 30 minutes before I ended the round. I actually went out and played the whole 18, and a good 2 hours of it in rain, starting with like some drizzle and a decent downpour, and then pouring rain, and then it stopped and let off. It was just drizzling for the last hour, but I was soaking wet getting off the course, and overall it was just not a good experience. So I said, well, I got to do this north course and just see if it's any more interesting to play. And normally I wouldn't do that, because if there is a longer course that wasn't interesting, I'm not going to play the shorter course hoping that it's more interesting. But in this case, I think it was kind of a given that it had to be done. So I went back and I played the north course, and the north course is a very different character and is a much more interesting course than the south course. Same kind of thing with the greens and the rough, but it was much more of a normal municipal course, but it just had a better character. The greens were not, the fairways and everything were not quite as wide. You didn't have quite as much space to hit. It was definitely tighter, not too tight, but tighter. The rough was still tough to play out of, but there wasn't as much rough, so you didn't have as much rough on the sides of the fairway on a lot of the holes. There was some more verticality. There were definitely some interesting holes, like par 5s and the holes along the west side of the course from, say, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The average holes were a little better. The good holes were better. It was just overall a better course than the south course. The only downside, I think, was there were two, in the sense that there was significantly more road noise along the east side of the North Course because there was no construction there, no buildings. You see cars whizzing by right there in North Torrey Road. And the other thing is that the greens were a little bit more beat up. On the South Course, they had just been aerated about a month ago. They'd been reseeded. Everything was nice. And on the South Course also, they had a lot more in terms of grandstands built up, which is weird. They just left, either they had left them there from earlier or they were putting them together or something. But it was almost like, you go to an amusement park, during the day or on the weekends or off season, and there's all this stuff around but nobody there. Imagine playing golf with a bunch of grandstands around the course, and then you play a course with no grandstands around the course, and see how much you like the course with no grandstands better. So that was another benefit to the North Course. And the one thing I would say as a downside is lots of jets, F-18s, even some French jets, I guess the Mirages or whatever, some Ospreys, lots of Hueys. I won't say it was a constant presence, but I would say every 5 minutes or so, one would fly by, 30-minute, 20-minute intervals, things like that. When I played on the South Course, you couldn't see them because there was so much fog that they were just flying by overhead. You couldn't really see them. But when I played the North Course, they were easily visible, floating overhead. And the thing is, the Hueys would come over from the east and just drift over the course. All the choppers would just drift by the course. They never, taking their time, loitering, coming by the course. And nothing was really, peaceful on the North Course. I think that's the impression I got on the North Course. It was a much more busy, noisy course than the South Course, but much more interesting course to play. Definitely, I think the middle part of the backside of the South Course is certainly interesting and certainly worth the trip to play it. I can't say the same about the South Course. It's more like playing Torrey Pines just to play Torrey Pines. But the North Course is actually pretty decent. I wouldn't say it was worth traveling 5,000 miles to play it, but as a local neighborhood municipal course, it was on the outstanding side. I have played better muni courses. I played better courses, no question. But this course, the north side, was not bad. I would definitely give it a B. The south side, I was just not really impressed with. I'm going to give it a B minus, and that's being generous, I think, especially considering the price. But the course condition was decent, and certainly as a technical challenge, it was not bad. You have to hit your drives in the fairway. You have to hit your drives consistently long, and you have to get your chip shots on the green. If not, you're going to have to challenge through your short game. And technically, both courses were very good. I just would not say the South Course was interesting to play, and I would not go back and play it again. And the North Course, I wouldn't go out of my way to play it again, but if I was in the area, I might consider it, a good outing, good relaxing round of golf. Certainly, it's nice, in sunset to get out there in the west side of the North Course and just kind of, enjoy the view. So it wasn't all that bad. I can't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was great. And certainly the condition of the course was really pretty good. So in that respect, it was rather outstanding. But as a round of golf, I think it was just kind of good. So especially considering the price, I can't really give it more than a B. Some might say it was better than, it's a great course. Wow, it's just phenomenal. And it probably is. If you compare it to a crappy course in bad condition, it's pretty good, okay? But if you compare it to a good course in average condition, it's not. It just isn't. And so I'm not going to go, head over heels for this course. It's just not that good of a course. It's a B course. And so that's Torrey Pines North. I gave it a B. And Torrey Pines South, a B minus. and I hope that you get a chance to play it, but I wouldn't go out of my way. It's not something I would break a leg trying to do. Oh, and in terms of comparing Torrey Pines to Bethpage Black, no, it's not even the same type of course. Bethpage Black is far more vertical, far more waste. Just, waste around the greens. It's just a completely different course. Much, much tougher course than Torrey Pines. And, there is just not really any real comparison between the two, except for the fact that they're both golf courses. The Black is way tougher than Torrey Pines.